Hi, it's Dwyer. Wealthspinning.blogspot.com, also gamblersadvisory.com. Remember, the opinion you should follow should be your own. Just consider this video to be a second opinion from a complete stranger online. Nothing I say in this video should be construed as investment advice. I want everyone to do their own due diligence. Now, let me just point out that right now, we're in a world that is, in my opinion, afraid of free markets. By we, I mean our group thinking, trying to fit in politicians, the ones seeking our votes, the ones, sadly, making policy for us. Right now, we don't want the American consumer to have the cheapest electric vehicles in the world, even when that would save families a lot of money, thousands of dollars, as well as help fight inflation. The reason we don't want the cheapest EVs on the road is because many of those electric vehicles would be made overseas. Another reason is that we wouldn't have control over the technology. So right now in the United States, you have extremely well-connected types. Elon Musk, let's name a name, right? Who's very close to Trump. Now, I have no problem with that. The government is supposed to also represent billionaires. I also have no problem with someone having expertise, having had success in the private market, actually have an input in what's going on. But what I don't want, what the American consumer needs to be mindful of, is we don't want a situation where an entrepreneur is close to the President of the United States, and that leads to the exclusion of low-cost providers in that entrepreneur's business. Right? Being available to the American public. In other words, just because Elon Musk is close to President Trump, I don't want that to mean that I can't go out and buy an electric vehicle from China without some big tariff put on it, especially when that vehicle might be thousands of dollars cheaper than a Tesla and might have commensurate features or perhaps even better features, right? More miles per charge. A program where I can pull up and rather than wait for my battery to charge, actually have the battery replaced, which is what's going on right now in China. Right? Understand, the prevailing political winds, and winds change over time. Right? Understand constructs change over time. The prevailing political winds isn't for the greatest good, for the greatest number. In my opinion, it's that outsiders should have to pay for access to American markets, even when we're the ones footing part of the bill. That's the situation with tariffs, folks. You don't get a free lunch, right? You actually end up paying part of the premium. Well, all of this brings me to AI. Now, no tech company is going to tell you that they've been surpassed. You're not going to see a tech CEO on TV say, you know what, somebody else has actually leapfrogged us. They can actually deliver what we're promising to deliver at a cheaper price than we can deliver it. Rather, tech companies want you to believe that they are the future and that they are assured that the billions of dollars that they're spending on artificial intelligence will lead to proprietary profits. They presumably know the formula for success. They know exactly how much to spend to get windfall profits. Well, a nuclear bomb has just dropped on AI. I want people here to Google China AI, one word, DeepSeek. DeepSeek. Right? Again, China AI, then one word, DeepSeek. Folks, AI is now much closer to becoming a commodity. China is now a low-cost provider and can get results that rival OpenAI at a fraction of the cost. Right? The reality is that innovation can't be put on a timetable. Costs can drop suddenly and unexpectedly due to new approaches and breakthroughs. So literally, hundreds of billions of dollars have been spent by publicly traded companies such as Meta and Microsoft on AI. That cost structure may have already been undercut by an open source AI model from China. New players who have not paid billions of dollars can now use cutting-edge AI for a fraction of the cost. The first movers no longer have the big advantage. So what does all this mean? It means that there will be business losses where huge business gains were expected. It means that market valuations will be cut or at least tempered. Investors who were flocking to the AI space will now be hesitant, at least some of them. And of course, the benefits of AI will now be more available to the public, more widespread. You may recall that we tried to prevent China from getting high-end NVIDIA chips. Google that. Right? That strategy doesn't work. President Trump just announced $500 billion to OpenAI. Questions arise. Why them and not others? Is that investment going to yield the same benefit that it would if made to China's DeepSeek? Isn't there now an opportunity cost to that investment? As we ponder that, let's talk about other economic news. So Trump chose Solana for his meme coin. Right, folks? I write a Substack page on cryptocurrency. Dwyer 70905. Google it. It does have a free user component. Right? When I talk about crypto as someone who has observed crypto and has invested in crypto for years. Now, Solana, and I own some Solana. I'm staking some Solana. Solana appears to now be the place for meme coins. Right? Understand, this whole Trump, I'm entering office as the president-elect, by the way, buy my coin, Trump as an entrepreneur thing, has now allowed Solana, the platform on which Trump's meme coin is built, to jump in total value locked. Look up these terms. Right? The format here, I'm already 9 minutes in. The format here doesn't really allow me to give these subjects the kind of rigor that they deserve. Right? View this video as just an entry point. You should be ready to do searches on platforms like Google Gemini, for example. Right? Aria, Claude, whatever your favorite AI platform is. Now, I personally expect Trump's coin over time to fail. In this Dogecoin world, where we now have a government department named after Doge, a meme coin, are there any meme coins worth it from a utility standpoint? Now let's make this interactive. We have the capability because there's a comment section to this YouTube video. The opinion offered in this video is just one opinion. Let's make this a forum of many opinions. Right? You should believe no one, including me, with any kind of blind faith. Right? Everyone here should really take a completely different approach. Research things for yourself. You have resources that prior generations did not have. Right? When I was a kid, I could not imagine having an internet. Right? The whole smartphone concept didn't evolve until years after I was in college. Right? So you have now access to quickly research in depth any concept that I bring to the table here on a superficial level. Right? Now, I personally don't believe that meme coins are worth it, any meme coins. That includes Doge. Right? The Trump meme coin seems to be a sugar high that's going to wear off over time and reach the point where you're going to ask yourself why you even want to have the extra calories. Many of you believe otherwise. I understand many people have made a lot of money speculating on meme coins. Right? I'm sure some of you have gotten rich on Doge. I'm here talking about the actual utility of Doge. Right? I can get rich selling umbrellas on a rainy day. The question is, does Doge even have the utility of an umbrella? I don't believe so. But I want to hear from you because meme coins are a vibrant community. Right? It's a community that has Solana passing Ethereum on some metrics. Right? So tell us about it. Make the case if you support meme coins. Come out of the shadows. Rather than tell us about how Doge has jumped in price over the years, tell us instead what you use Doge for. Tell us how Doge has advantages over, let's say, a Bitcoin, an Ethereum. Right? Make the case. Make the sale. Finally, let's shift topics. Last topic. The Los Angeles wildfires and lost houses. Right? Folks, the housing market is already overbought, in my eyes. Right? I have a site, housing777.blogspot.com. Let me also say, too, I used to live in West Hollywood. I know LA. I believe the first time I saw MC Hammer's video, You Can't Touch This, back in the late 80s, early 90s, I believe I was in Pacific Palisades, visiting a friend. Right? I know Pacific Palisades a little bit. What I want people to ponder is that housing might be overbought on a national level already. Right? Housing before the wildfires, I would argue, was overbought in Pacific Palisades. Now, the LA wildfires have already caused, according to projections, up to $20 billion already in insured losses. We understand this number is likely to go much higher as the full extent of the damages are known. Right? You can imagine insurers will be trying to get the ability legally to charge higher rates. How high will insurance rates go? How long will it take Pacific Palisades, a wealthy part of Los Angeles, to be rebuilt? Isn't the housing market, and this question's profound, because it also could address Los Angeles's traffic problem, right? Isn't the housing market now competing with Zoom, Google Meet, and Microsoft Teams? These are questions that over time the market will answer, right? Let's get uncomfortable too in the closing seconds of this video. Isn't there also a class dynamic here? You have limited public money. LA is fighting things like a homeless crisis. Look at the schools in Los Angeles. You'd be shocked at how some areas have very low test scores. You'd be absolutely shocked. Pundit Larry Elder talks about it all the time. Talks about his part of town and just how few kids are reading at grade level. Now, a wealthy part of town here needs to be rebuilt, right? People like Wilt Chamberlain used to hang out in Pacific Palisades. We're hearing Mel Gibson lost his $18 million home. How does this play out politically? Right? How are future politicians going to ask the public for public money to help rebuild the wealthy part of town? Right, folks? These are open questions. For investors like us, we just want to see the capital flows. Right? We just want to make sure that there's a rate of return to be had here. I have no doubt there are developers right now looking at Pacific Palisades. It's right by the water, right? And thinking to themselves, wow, you know, Stallone used to live in this neighborhood, etc. Rich history, high end, is going to want, you know, to be in this part of town. The infrastructure, roads and stuff like that, you know, favor this part of town. There's money to be made there, right? How much of that money should be public money? Also, isn't the equation for owning in Pacific Palisades different now? Right before you had the insurance, but there wasn't the realization of the wildfire risks. Now people understand that wildfires could run roughshod through the region. Insurance companies realize that. Right? You have a lot of insurance companies leaving California because of the regulation. Are we going to allow rates to rise to such an extent that they can actually cover costs of a catastrophe like this? That's an open question. Also, weren't there structural problems here that wouldn't be allowed going forward? Wasn't the fire budget cut? Weren't there hydrants that couldn't pump out enough water? Wasn't there a reservoir that was allowed to be half empty? Aren't those infrastructure costs going to mount in the future as we rebuild Pacific Palisades? Let's ask another question too. How many homeowners are going to think to themselves, gee, do I even want to rebuild my home? Do I want to stay in the home if it's rebuilt? Now that I know the wildfire risk reality, now that I realize that my insurance bill is going to be somewhat higher, quite a bit higher. Those are open questions. I'd love to hear your views on them in the comment section of this YouTube video. Thanks for stopping by.